Hello and welcome to New England Sports Today with myself, Samuel Reese, live from Lexington, Kentucky. Today is Wednesday, July 25th, 2018. Hope everyone's having a great day. And we have a lot to talk about in New England sports, and I'll talk about what we're going to be discussing in today's show. I'll get right to it. So the Boston Red Sox played the Baltimore Orioles last night. The final score was Boston Red Sox 6, Baltimore Orioles 7. The hits 9 apiece, the errors 1-0 in favor of Baltimore. So the Red Sox go to 71-32, and the Orioles go to 29-73. Martinez on the Red Sox went 2 for 4 with 2 home runs, with 31 on the year and 3 RBI. Shoot for Baltimore went also 2 for 4 with his 14th home run of the season, with also 3 RBI. So Drew Pomeranz was on the mound. He got the loss, which puts him to 1-4 on the season. He pitched 4.2 innings, allowed 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts in 89 pitches. So the Orioles did defeat the Red Sox 7-6. Joe Kelly also pitched for just 0.2 innings. He had 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 0 strikeouts in 32 pitches. But not good performances from the pitchers. But on the other hand, JD Martinez did have a great game. He, as I mentioned, he went 2 for 4 with 2 home runs, 31 on the year with 3 RBI. And so we'll also be discussing tonight's starters for the Red Sox and Orioles. It's David Price against Dylan Bundy. David Price, the left-handed pitcher this season, is 11-6 with a 4.17 ERA. His career at Baltimore is 7-0 with a 2.96 ERA. Dylan Bundy, on the other hand, is a right-handed pitcher this season. He's 6-9 with a 4.57 ERA. 2018 versus Boston, he is 0-2, but with a 2.29 ERA. Remember, Red Sox versus Orioles coverage begins today at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And also, big news in other areas of the country, the Orioles have traded Zach Britton to the Yankees. We'll be discussing what that means for the Red Sox later. And also, Masahiro Tanaka last night at Tampa Bay got the win, which put him to 8-2 on the year. In 9 innings pitched, he had allowed just 3 hits, 0 earned runs, a walk, and 9 strikeouts in 105 pitches. So here's what the AL East standings now look like. Boston is 70-32. The New York Yankees are 64-35, 5 games behind. Tampa Bay is 51-50, 19 games behind. Toronto is 46-54, 23.5 games behind. And Baltimore is at 29-73, 41.5 games behind. So moving on from baseball, let's talk about the Patriots coming and going. Some Patriots moves that have occurred. Eddie Pleasant, the defensive back, was signed. He played 6 seasons with Houston. Nate Seeker, the guard, was signed. He's part of Dallas and New Orleans practice squads. And also Cody Hollister, the wide receiver, was released. He spent 2017 on the New England. Malcolm Mitchell, so big news there. And also former Patriots quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, were his comments on time with New England. Sorry, I meant to say he had some comments on his time with New England. As I discussed that yesterday, we'll be talking a little more about that today. And also today's trivia is, who is the last player to hit 30-plus home runs in their first season with the Red Sox? Is it Carl Everett? Is it David Ortiz? Or is it Mo Vaughn? We'll answer that later in the show. And also the Rams and Todd Gurley have agreed to terms on a 4-year contract extension. And also a report that the Falcons wide receiver Julio Jones won't report to camp because he wants his contract reworked. And Kevin there. And also David Price Friday at the Tigers got the win, which put him to an 11-6 record. He pitched 6.1 innings, allowed 4 hits, 0 earned runs, a walk, and 5 strikeouts in 96 pitches. So we'll be talking about what that game does to his confidence heading into tonight's game versus the Orioles. And remember, Red Sox at Orioles is tonight, 6 Eastern Time. Price 11-6 with a 4.17 ERA, taking on Bundy 6-9 with a 4.57 ERA. Also, the Bruins Foundation and Waltham Police and Fire presented a $65,000 donation to One Mission. And remember, Bruins Summer Face-Off Live is tonight at 5:30 Eastern Time on NESN. So a lot to discuss, as you can see on today's show. And we'll start off with the Red Sox. Definitely a tough loss versus the Orioles, 7-6. Disappointing, really, because the Red Sox being the best team in the league, taking on the Orioles, who are the worst team. It's always embarrassing to get a loss versus the worst team in the league being the best team. But hopefully they can bounce back tonight and get the series win. And a series win would be a good result coming out of that, going onto the home stretch. Also, the Red Sox, it did look like they were coming back, because down 7-3, made a 7-5 at the end of the eighth, and it was 7-6 in the ninth with Mookie Betts up at bat. It was Devers on base, I believe, and Mookie Betts hit into a double play to end the game. So very disappointing. So the Red Sox do go to 71-32 now. Baltimore 29-73. Martinez, though, had a great performance, really. He was 2 for 4, 2 home runs, now at 31 on the season with 3 RBI. So despite the loss, JD Martinez still putting on quite the performance, really. And let's also talk about Drew Pomeranz. So obviously he had the loss. He goes to 1-4 on the season, pitched just 4.2 innings, allowed 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts in 89 pitches. So not the type of performance Red Sox fans wanted out of Pomeranz. We were fearing that this type of performance that he put on last night was going to occur after we didn't really know what we were going to expect from a Pomeranz. We didn't really know how he would perform because he has been rehabbing with the Paw Sox. So a disappointing performance from Pomeranz, and it really cost them he was part of what cost them the game, really, allowing 4 runs in just 4.2 innings. A disappointing performance from him, but we'll see what goes on from now. As I discussed yesterday, could he be a reliever from now on, as obviously the starting position hasn't been going too well for him. And how the Red Sox bounce back from this. Also, Joe Kelly, though, was also another big part of the blame, as he just pitched 0.2 innings, but allowed 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and 0 strikeouts in just 32 pitches. So Joe Kelly definitely another big part of the blame, maybe even more than Pomeranz, as his struggles as a reliever continues, and not the type of performance we wanted to see out of Joe Kelly. And maybe we don't know really how he will progress for the rest of the season, but definitely the pitchers costing the Red Sox really in this game, because with 6 runs scored for the Red Sox, it was a good offensive performance, but the defense really being where it cost them the most. But as I mentioned, JD Martinez, on the other hand, really put on a great performance, 2 for 4, a home run, and 3 RBI. So he is at 31 home runs on the year. And JD Martinez keeps hitting home runs, really. And he's been amazing this season. So we'll see if those performances can keep going for him, especially in the big games versus the Yankees and when the playoffs come. So definitely some disappointments to look at, but a lot to look forward to for the Red Sox. Just with new pitcher on the mound tonight, which we'll be discussing next. Hopefully they can get the Red Sox back on track. So they've been all right back from the All-Star break with a 3-2 record. Hopefully they can get the series win. But so that leads us into our next topic of conversation. Tonight's starters for the Red Sox and Orioles is David Price versus Dylan Bundy. So David Price, the lefty, is 11-6 with a 4.17 ERA. And his career at Baltimore is 7-0 with a 2.96 ERA. So definitely the type of game that fits David Price, as he should be ready for tonight's game after coming off of a great performance the other day. And hopefully he can carry that performance on to tonight's game. And definitely a different story than Pomeranz. Pomeranz keeps going downhill, it seems, as David Price looking good right now. But we'll see how he performs in the big games, of course, which is a big question mark, as it seems like he's performed fantastically in every game but in the big games, which is important, like playing the Yankees. So Baltimore, definitely a team that's beatable for Price, and he should be, with a great record versus Baltimore. And hopefully he can help steer the Red Sox into a win tonight with a better defensive performance. Of course, the pitcher being a huge part of that. And Dylan Bundy, on the other hand, the righty, is 6-9 with a 4.57 ERA. In 2018 versus Boston, he is 0-2, but he's had a 2.29 ERA, which tells you really that the Red Sox, in games that he's pitched versus them, have been low-scoring wins for the Red Sox. And so it really depends how Baltimore, how their offense does. If it's and basically depending on how Price pitches, because Bundy's losses have came, but with a really good ERA. So we'll see how tonight's outing goes. And remember, Red Sox versus Orioles coverage begins today at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So the last game of that series tonight. Also, the Orioles traded Zach Britton to the Yankees, so a big move finally occurring last night. So Britton will be off to Tampa as the Yankees are finishing their series with the Rays, and probably happy to get out of Baltimore, to be quite honest, because he really does deserve to be on a better team. But moving on from funny matters, to be on a serious note, the Astros, Yankees, and Red Sox were all really looking at him. It's surprising in a way that the Yankees ended up getting him, because the Yankees seemed like the team that least needed a reliever out of all of those teams. With the starting pitcher really the need for the Yankees. But they get Britton, which will put an even better pitcher into their reliever bullpen. But the starting pitcher is still a question mark for the Yankees, as the Astros definitely most needed the reliever. So a little surprised they didn't put more into trying to get Britton, as a reliever would definitely fill their team up with a really good lineup. Really the only place in their lineup where they're not very strong. And the Red Sox also would be a good need for a reliever. As I mentioned, Joe Kelly last night, not a good performance, but the Yankees end up getting him, and we'll see how he does with the Yankees, and how the Yankees utilize him in the rest of the season. And so, yeah, a big move there. And also, Masahiro Tanaka last night at Tampa Bay got the win. He's 8-2 on the season. He pitched all 9 innings, just allowed 3 hits, 0 earned runs, a walk, and 9 strikeouts in 105 pitches. So a very solid performance from Tanaka. He's been outstanding really this whole season. So it'll be interesting to see how he does the rest of the season. And the Yankees, a must-needed win really, as the Red Sox with a surprising loss really, which puts the Yankees closer to the Red Sox, as I'll be discussing what the standings look like once again as of now. And definitely a big win, a needed win for the Yankees after a loss, a tough loss versus the Rays, with Sanchez going on DL after really a lazy performance from him, if you haven't seen that. So, yeah, let's talk about the AL East standings. As I mentioned, Boston in first place at 70-32. The Yankees 5 games behind with a 64-35 record, and the rest of the division not really in the playoff race at all. So it's really the Yankees and Red Sox. So yesterday it was 6 games ahead, but with the Yankees getting the win and the Red Sox losing, Yankees now pushing closer, just 5 games behind. So definitely the Red Sox need to put on a good performance last night, as we think that'll put the Yankees' confidence will go up with that win last night and the Red Sox loss. But definitely something to keep an eye on, as with the long baseball season, it's really the games ahead and behind. It really they take turns getting close and further away. So we'll see if the Yankees catch up at all, or if the Red Sox will go back ahead in a firm lead. But that's yet to be seen. And also we'll talk about some Patriots moves. Eddie Pleasant and Nate Thieker signed. Eddie Pleasant, the defensive back, played 6 seasons with Houston, so we'll see how that pickup is for the Patriots. But Nate Thieker, he is was signed. The guard was part of Dallas and New Orleans practice squads, so we'll see how he has an impact on the team. We'll definitely probably see both of these players in preseason to see how they'll how the Patriots will go about this season, with a lot of moves happening, really. And also Cody Hollister, the wide receiver, was released. He spent 2017 on the New England practice squad. So let's talk about the major storylines heading into camp, because there's a lot to get to, really. As I mentioned in yesterday's show and earlier today, a report that the Patriots are seeking a trade partner for wide receiver Malcolm Mitchell, despite him being a great player, really. The injuries have just kept him out, and maybe time for the Patriots to move on. So we'll see with him probably leaving. We'll see how that opens up for other players at the wide receiver position for the Patriots. And we'll definitely see a lot of that in preseason. And also the former Patriots quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo comments on his time with New England were definitely interesting comments, as I mentioned yesterday. And definitely weird comments after he went to San Francisco, still talking about his time with the Patriots. It's definitely weird, but we'll see how Jimmy G does with the 49ers this season. And also, we'll answer today's trivia right now before the show ends. The question was, who is the last player to hit 30-plus home runs in their first season with the Red Sox? Is it Carl Everett, David Ortiz, or Mo Vaughn? The answer is David Ortiz. He hit 31 home runs in 2003. And obviously, JD Martinez looking to go well beyond that in his first season with the Red Sox, already at 31 home runs with plenty of games left in the season. And also, the Rams and Todd Gurley did agree to terms on a 4-year contract extension. So Todd Gurley, definitely talented player, staying at the Rams. Big contract extension with the Rams, and good news for the Rams, I'd say. And also a report that the Falcons wide receiver Julio Jones won't report to camp because he wants a contract reworked. So things not going well in Atlanta for Julio Jones and the Falcons. So we'll see how that all goes in the end. And also Kevin Love did sign a 4-year contract extension with the Cavaliers. So despite LeBron leaving, he will stay with the Cavs. So let's see how he can carry the Cavs. With LeBron out, things will definitely look different in Cleveland, with Kevin Love being their star player now. We'll also remember Colin Sexton going to the Cavs. We'll see how that is. Also, St. Louis did send Daniel Ponce de Leon back to the minors after pitching 7 no-hit innings in his MLB debut. So an interesting decision from St. Louis. After having a great performance, they send him right back down to the minors, which is very strange to say the least. And to end the show, we'll talk about David Price Friday at the Tigers. He got the win, so he's 11-6. He pitched 6.1 innings, allowed 4 hits, 0 earned runs, a walk, and 5 strikeouts in 96 pitches. So let's see how that great performance versus the Tigers really will factor into play tonight, and hopefully he can keep up the good performance. So remember, Red Sox at Orioles is tonight, 6 Eastern time. Watch that. Price is 11-6, 4.17 ERA, taking on Bundy, 6-9, 4.57 ERA. And great news, really, as the Bruins Foundation and Waltham Police and Fire presented a $65,000 donation to a One Mission And that's great news. And Bruins Summer Face-Off Live, if you want to see that, tune in tonight, 5:30 Eastern Time on NESN. If you want some little Bruins news before the season, before we know it will begin. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow, 1:15 Eastern Time, 10:15 a.m. Pacific. And hope you have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. So rolling non-stop. Watch.